7 million. The number of cats and dogs that enter the shelter system in the United States each year. 1 million. The number of animals that are put to death due to illness or viciousness. 4 million. The number of animals that are put to death simply because no one wants them, not enough room, and because not enough humane societies are willing to use rescue groups to save them. But there's an organization working to make a difference. Rocky Mountain Puppy Rescue. In the last 5 years, Rocky Mountain Puppy Rescue has saved over 3,000 lives, and it's all due to the countless hours of work from dedicated volunteers and fosters. The mission of Rocky Mountain Puppy Rescue is to save unwanted shelter animals from kill lists and to spread the knowledge that adoption and spaying and neutering your animals at a young age saves lives. We are now going to introduce to you a few of these amazing people and give you an inside look at the process of saving lives, one puppy at a time. But first, let's take a look at how it all began.
I was working in the lift truck industry. I worked in material handling for a number of years. I traveled a lot. I love dogs, and I had an opportunity. I walked into a Petco in Broomfield, Colorado, and there was a group in there, and I saw the dogs that they had, and I saw what they were doing, and I thought, well, the weeks that I wasn't traveling, I would volunteer. And so I did. I started volunteering at their events on Saturdays, and then I started fostering. After about 6 months, I saw some things that I didn't like too much, and I made some friends with the other people there, and we started talking about it, and almost a year later we decided to form a group, just not caring for dogs if they came in with ringworm, something that's highly treatable, but it is contagious. Wouldn't isolate them, we'd just send them back to the shelter, which we quickly learned was a death sentence, and we just felt inspired, basically, maybe that's my competitive nature, to do a better job, and they did too, so we formed the group.
We did one transfer for another group, and we were actually going on vacation and stopped to pick up Sky. Come here. This is our very first rescue. Sky, my beautiful girl. We went down, found her on Dogs in Danger, and she was going to be euthanized the next day, so we drove down there and stopped, and then the shelter directors, they were floor to ceiling full of dogs, and said, can you please help us? And so we called and got the group we were fostering for at the time to call them and gave them their 501c3 number and all that stuff, and went to PetSmart and bought pens and kennels and changed our vacation plans and loaded up with dogs and drove home. So that was our first rescue, and then it's just gone ever since then. We've been doing it, week after week after week. Now we're 5 years in. It's one of those things you don't realize how difficult it is until you actually do it.
But I told them I wouldn't foster, and then Emma called me one day, and she had my number, and she said, this dog's gonna die if you say no. And so I was like, okay. And she shows up at my house with 2 puppies to foster. Actually, I think they were a little older, and that's it. I was hooked from that moment on. It's all Emma's fault.
When you come in to adopt a puppy, the first thing you do is sign up on our sign-up sheet with your name, if you have the names of the puppies that you want to look at, zip code, and that's so we can check to make sure there's no breed restrictions where you're at, and your phone number. And then you have to fill out an application. It's 3 pages. And then also the adoption requirement sheet. You fill those out. So we need to figure out if you lease a home or if you own a home. If you lease, we need to look at your rental agreement that says you can adopt puppies and what restrictions they have, what weight limits they have. If you own a home, we have to look at like a mortgage statement, a tax statement, and we compare it to your driver's license to make sure that you're who you say you are.
Adoption fees they range for the dogs anywhere from 150 to 325 depending on the age of the dog. It includes everything. All the adults are heartworm checked. All the dogs are fixed before they're adopted, so they're spay-neutered. They all have microchips, they all have insurance, they all have all the shots they can get for their age, and that is across the board.
It depends on the animal. We look to match the adopter to the animal's personality. So we're looking for people, again, that have either a history with animals or a real research dedication to them. In other words, they've researched what it takes to own an animal, that it takes a time commitment on their part, that it's not just a matter of walking it once or a week or once a month, that it's a daily routine, that are willing to commit. We ask a series of pretty in-depth questions. The process takes a few hours with us. And we really go over a lot of information. We look to see if they have researched the breed, the energy level, the size that they think it might be, what it takes monetarily to raise an animal, the costs that are involved yearly with having a dog. What they would do if the behavior wasn't something that they thought they can deal with. Would they invest in training? Do they have that kind of thinking, or do they think that it's always about what the animal is doing, rather than realizing that it's the interaction between themselves and the animal? That's something that we really try to focus on, and by doing so, a lot of times what we were doing at the same time is educating those that are kind of on the fence. Then they realize what they're getting into, and they come forward even more, and they invest in training right at our adoption event, which is just terrific.
Do their research, come prepared to the events, and then just talk to our volunteers and our fosters. Let us help them find the perfect dog that'll fit their family and their lifestyle.
We try and match up the dog with the potential home, to make sure their energy level is compatible and the home life that they can provide is suitable for the dog that they want. Somebody that wants to hike a lot, we're not going to adopt them a big, Newfoundland or something that's not a hiking kind of dog, or somebody that is a couch potato. Oh, you're so friendly. Somebody that's a couch potato, we don't want to adopt them a high energy border collie or a cattle dog or something that requires a lot of energy and a lot of exercise, because that's typically not going to suit them very well. So
We do too. You must have your animals fixed in your home. The main mission of this rescue is to match animals into great families, to match them up, but to promote spay-neuter. And so we do not condone anyone that has an animal that's unfixed.
Oh, let's see. Is everybody in the family on board for the dog?
And another one is just not investing in training and having dog after dog that they think that they want, and then just keep rehoming for various, what we think is kind of frivolous reasons. Those are red flags for us. We only pull from kill shelters. We don't pull from the general public. So your name has to be on a list to be euthanized for us to pull that particular dog. Municipal shelters. Municipal shelters are animal control run facilities. That's basically where we pull our dogs from. Usually they're given, if they are a stray dog, they're given 5-day hold for the owner to come and collect their animal should they not realize it was out and got picked up. If it's an actual owner relinquishment or drop-off or abandonment situation, some will only hold for 24 hours. Most give 72 hours until they start euthanizing the animals, start killing them.
It's kind of heartbreaking. Like you go to the shelter and you walk down the aisles and you know that 1 out of 10 dogs there is going to make it to safety. And when you go through and you're like, all right, I'm going to save your life, which means all of you guys have to die. And like, it's hard. And it's a very poor area. They can't take all that great care of their dogs. They can't afford to spay and neuter them, which is why, we do the clinics down there and try to help them out, try to slow things down for them.
Driving dogs to the vet, getting meds to fosters, picking up dogs.
I am the director of operations, so I handle a lot of the paperwork, a lot of folders, vaccination records, that kind of stuff, and then I also run the pens during adoption events, and so I work with all of the potential adopters to help them meet I play puppy matchmaker. Help them seeing everything that they go through down in New Mexico through the transfers, getting to see their different personalities come out, watching the really shy, scared dogs turn into like healthy, happy, bubbly dogs, and watching them find their forever homes, and getting a year later getting updates from them that they're doing wonderfully. Just the dogs is what keeps me coming back, and then also the group of volunteers that we have.
Everybody is amazing. I mean, how can you not love what you do when you wake up and you get to work with everybody else who shares the same passion as you, has the same goal in mind of saving lives and being a part of this process. It's just incredible.
Our group is awesome. They've become kind of a second family to me. I probably spend more time with RMPR than I do with my actual family.
Form, and that's the key. The key is the foster network. If you don't have the fosters, you can't bring the dogs. It's pretty simple. How does that work? We either request them or they come to us. A lot of times lists are sent out, Connor, the lists are sent out as a group to different rescues, and they'll say, we have this group of dogs, these animals that need to go somewhere. In other words, they have this much time. And so the rescues start coming in and saying, okay, I'm an Aussie rescue, I'll take these 2 Aussies, or I'm a lab rescue and I'll take these labs. Well, because we don't fit any of those categories, we'll take anything. We go for an entire group, we'll go across the spectrum. We'll take what the fosters want and what we think is highly adoptable.
Yeah, I have a lot. I've had probably over 200 fosters now. Some of the more memorable ones are probably the adults that I have for a longer period of time. The puppies are fun, but they come and go in 2 weeks, and I still see them from time to time, and everything is cool, but some of the adult dogs where you really get to make a difference with them and bring them out of their shells or nurse them back from something. I've had a couple dogs now that have had heartworm, and so I've had to get them through 3 months of treatment for that, or I recently had a dog that had her front leg amputated, and so we worked her through all of that and got her adopted, and she's super happy in her new home. And so for me, the puppies are fun, but I think the adult dogs are kind of where my heart is.
Very cool.
The policies within the shelters are really tight, but how it works for us is I'll reach out, or they'll reach out to me and say, hey, we've got this group of dogs that we're looking to move, or we just got in all these puppies and you're a puppy rescue, can you please come give us a hand? And we'll start talking about what they have. Those photos and those numbers and all of that information is taken by me, and then I start talking with Sonia, who is the person that reaches out for the fosters. She starts emailing out to them saying, okay, here's what we're looking at, here's what our rescue commitment is. At that time, when I'm putting that list together, I'm told about which ones are special cases, who has bad wheels, leg issues, who has a possible heartworm. They've done testing and they've seen heartworm come up on the test, or who is pregnant, or who is, and there's always those surprises too. You take them off the transfer and it's supposed to be a male dog, it's a female and it's pregnant. And then it has 11 puppies. That's happened.
How about the pups in the nursery?
The pups in the nurseries. Those are Morella's babies. There's 7 of them. They came in when they were approximately 2 weeks of age. They look to be like Australian Shepherd, Heeler, and possibly Australian Cattle Dog. There's a blue one in there. Beautiful. They're real sweet, really high energy. One of them is extremely vocal. They're just lovely, and they're healthy, which is wonderful. They've had a few rounds of wormings. They've had 2 rounds of vaccinations. They're good to go. They've been spay-neutered. They're now 9 weeks. So we've had them for quite a while. We look for people that love animals, that are dedicated to do the right thing, people that are reactive, people that won't sit and say, oh, well, the dog is doing this and I don't need to react. They come out of the shelters a lot of times, they're very sick, or they have pretty severe behavior issues just because they're afraid. They've never been trained, they've never been talked to, let alone given free space to roam. And so we look for people that really want to interact with the animals, that understand that it's not just puppies sitting on their lap, but that it does take some work. Some people get that right away, some people don't. We welcome anyone and everyone, but we really do try to seek out the ones that are going to stay for a little while and don't just want a puppy kiss and then see you later.
So I foster failed on 3 dogs so far. Millie, Branch, and Habanero, and I think the most memorable one is Millie. She's a 5-year-old Rottweiler. She came into the rescue and she was with a different foster, and for some reason she wasn't working out in that home, so she came to me and I just fell in love with her. She's the biggest heart, and adults definitely feel more like at home after they're adopted because they're happy, they know they have a loving place, and puppies sometimes they don't really know that they've been adopted. So definitely Millie's like one of those stories where it's happy ending, hopefully.
The protocols, and we look at it as the directors that our job is to take care of the fosters so that they can take care of the dogs. And if we provide everything for them, the kennels, the pens, the blankets, the food, the medication, anything they need, we cover and make lunch for everybody on Saturday. You know, that it's going to keep them involved longer, and it's going to allow them to focus on the dogs instead of, you know, a lot of people say, I wish I could do that, but I could never let them go. Well, the best thing you can do is let them go, because you create room for another one to come in. And without fosters, you know, these dogs don't have a chance. So basically it's just somebody that cares and has the time. They don't have to have the money to do it, because we'll provide everything they need. They just need the time to take care of them.
Anyone who's willing to put the time and commitment into caring for the animals while in their home, starting with basic training, you know, working with housebreaking and that sort of stuff, you know, they're committed to keeping the fosters in their home until adopted, and then just other passionate dog lovers, so that I know they're going to enjoy the experience. Well, we go over any questions that they have, or any additional questions after the phone interview. When I'm looking at their home, if they have a yard, I'm checking the fence line to make sure there's no breaks in the fence where puppies can escape. Meeting their personal dogs if they have dogs. If their dogs are out of control, obviously we don't want to utilize them.
Who don't know anything about rescue, like, I definitely encourage them to come and volunteer and see what we do, because I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but we have a lot of fun, and your heart will never be fuller.
I think that to do rescue, you have to be pretty strong and emotionally invested in it, because it is an emotional roller coaster sometimes. You definitely get attached to your fosters, and so when they get adopted, it's sad and happy at the same time.
Doing rescue work, it changes your perspective on what you think you know about dogs. I mean, you know, you think I'm a big dog person, as Tom said, and I love all dogs. I don't have a particular look, or not anymore. I used to. Labradors were my thing. And now you can look like anything. I go on your personality, and I go by where you're at. My heart does go out to the ones that come in and they literally are crawling because they're so afraid. You know, you bring them out into a big space like we're in now, and they're crawling because they've never been with new people, they've never been in a new situation. Maybe they were kept in a small crate, or they're kept in a small yard, and it's all so new to them that they're just overwhelmed. And you'll go from that to seeing them running and jumping and playing, and a lot of it has to do with the power of the pack. I do not like to have the rescue just take credit of, we have wonderful fosters, but the power of other balanced dogs around dogs that are coming from a rescue situation is phenomenal to witness it.
It's part of your family. Treat it like it.
But again, the testimony to an animal is that you put them in the right environment, you balance them out with other balanced dogs, and put them in with people that are attentive and that do give them a good routine and exercise and great food and love, and they blossom. They just blossom.